All right, so you know how it is. You're going through your inbox and then boom, you get a flyer about digital citizenship for your
Yeah.
kids and you're thinking, okay, important, but like, where do I even begin?
Yeah.
Well, today's deep dive is taking us to Ushuaia, Argentina to unpack a program that's doing just that.
And while Argentina might seem like a world away, let's be honest. The digital age, it's everywhere, right? These challenges of raising kids in this digital world, they're universal. And these Argentinian news articles, I think, offer a really fascinating perspective on how one community is taking this global issue head on.
I love it. We're looking at 3 articles about Genial on Internet, which is a program, and get this, developed by Google.
Oh, wow.
But before you think, oh, another tech giant, doing their thing,
Yeah.
this initiative, it's actually got a really impressive track record.
What I find really remarkable is how they've managed to achieve both global reach with this program, but also local impact as well.
Right.
So we're talking 60 countries, 43 languages, but with local partners, in this case, Logística Antártica, which what they do is Antarctic logistics, which I just think is the coolest thing.
So cool.
And they're teaming up with NST, the Google Cloud partner, to bring this program to Argentina and Uruguay.
Okay, so it's like a global blueprint, but then they tailor it for the Argentinian families.
Exactly.
I like it. Okay, so why does this program even exist? Well, the articles mention some pretty concerning stats about problematic technology use among Argentinian children.
Yeah, and while they didn't give specific numbers in these articles, it's no secret the kids today face a real minefield of online risks. We're talking cyberbullying, phishing scams, online predators. These are all global issues, but they can play out so differently in different cultural contexts.
That's very true. And that is where Genial on Internet steps in.
Yeah.
It's all about empowering parents and teachers, even those who maybe aren't the most tech savvy,
Right.
to give them the knowledge and the tools to really guide kids safely through this digital jungle. Because let's be real, keeping up with the online world, it's like a full-time job these days.
It really is. And one of the things that really struck me when I was reading these articles was a quote from a parent, and I'm paraphrasing here, but they basically said, kids born after 2004,
Oh,
they're from a different era. An 11 or 12-year-old today inhabits a completely different world than we did at that age.
Right.
And I think that generational gap, that digital disconnect, it's a real source of anxiety for parents.
it really is. That quote really got me too, because it's like we can't even rely on our own experiences growing up. So like prepare our kids for this stuff. We need these programs to bridge that gap.
Yes.
Okay, so how does Genial on Internet actually work?
Well, it really focuses on practicality and addresses those concerns of parents head on.
Okay.
So they break down these really complex online threats into understandable chunks. They equip parents with actionable tools, and they specifically tackle 3 major dangers: grooming, phishing, and cyberbullying.
Okay, let's dive into those because those are some scary, scary terms.
Yes.
Grooming, for anybody who needs a refresher, is basically when an adult uses deceptive tactics online to build a relationship with a child, often for sexual purposes. And it is terrifying how easily this can happen in seemingly harmless online spaces.
Absolutely. And then you have phishing, which is all about tricking people into giving up their personal information.
Right.
And the article gives this really interesting example of a phishing scam that felt very specific to Argentina.
Okay.
And they said, imagine you get a text message saying you've won a gift card.
Oh, I've gotten those.
Right, exactly. And you think, oh my gosh, jackpot?
Yeah, you're already hooked.
You click the link and bam, they've got your information. But what was really interesting is they mentioned it uses an orden de compra, which basically means purchase order in Spanish.
Oh, so they're using language familiar to Argentinians to make it even more believable.
Exactly.
Wow.
Really highlights why I think these localized approaches are so important. They understand these specific tricks and tactics that are being used in their communities.
It's scary how these scams are so sophisticated these days.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine how easy it would be for even like a teenager to fall for that?
Absolutely. And I think that's why education is key here, right? It's not about scaring kids off the internet altogether. It's about giving them the awareness, giving them those critical thinking skills they need to navigate these situations safely.
Right. Which brings us to cyberbullying, the third threat this program tackles.
Yes.
It feels like every time like a new social media platform pops up, there's like a whole new avenue for kids to be cruel to each other.
It's true. Cyberbullying, it can take so many forms these days. Spreading rumors, posting hateful comments, sharing embarrassing photos or videos. And because it's online, it can feel inescapable for these kids, like it's always there following them around.
And I think for parents too, it's often hidden in plain sight because it's happening on these platforms that we don't even understand.
Right.
This is a far cry from the playground bullying of, our time.
Exactly. And that's what makes it even more important, I think, for kids to feel comfortable talking to a trusted adult if they're being targeted online.
Right.
They need to know it's not their fault
Yeah.
and that they can ask for help.
So we've got these three major threats: grooming, phishing, cyberbullying, all addressed in this program. But one of the things that really struck me reading these articles was how accessible Say Genial on internet seems to be. I mean, it's free, it's offered locally, and they even hinted that it might be even more widely available soon.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes this program so promising.
Yeah.
They're making digital literacy a priority. It's not just some like after school special.
Right.
It's like they're saying this is essential knowledge for the 21st century for everyone.
And it goes back to that quote about kids today just inhabiting a completely different world than we did.
Right.
We can't just expect them to figure it out on their own.
Exactly. It is our responsibility to equip them with the tools that they need.
Yeah.
And that's where I think programs like this really shine because they bridge that gap between, this global awareness of these issues, but then that local action.
Right.
They're thinking about those specific challenges that Argentinian families are facing.
It's like the internet might be global, but these threats, they often have like a local flavor.
Yes.
And that's why I think this deep dive is so important today.
Yeah.
We're taking a look at a program that's happening, halfway across the world, but the lessons here, they're universal.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want to raise kids who are safe, who are responsible, and who are empowered in this digital age.
This whole conversation has really got me thinking about that saying, it takes a village.
Right.
It really does feel like raising kids in the digital age, it is a team effort.
100%. And while this program in Argentina sounds incredible,
Right.
I'm sure some of our listeners right now are thinking, okay, that's great for them.
Yeah.
But what about where I live?
Right.
What resources are available to me? What would you tell those listeners?
Honestly, get online, start searching. You'd be so surprised at what's out there these days.
Absolutely. I mean, schools, libraries, even your local police department. A lot of times they have programs or resources dedicated to this very thing.
Yeah. And don't underestimate the power of your own network. Talk to other parents, teachers. Chances are they're dealing with the exact same things you are.
That's such a good point. I think even beyond specific programs, just fostering that open communication with your kids about their online lives.
Right. That's huge. Ask them questions. Be curious. Really listen to what they're saying and let them know they can come to you with any concerns, the good, the bad, the embarrassing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Build that trust so they know they have a safe space to talk about anything.
Exactly. Because let's be real, we can't shield kids from every potential danger online, right? The internet, it's always changing. It's always evolving. But what we can do is equip them with the tools and the critical thinking skills to navigate those challenges safely and responsibly.
I love that. So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I'm left with this question. How can we as communities create those support networks for parents and for educators?
Yeah.
What does that digital village actually look like in practice? What are your thoughts on that? Ooh, that's a great question. And I think it starts with just having those open dialogues. I mean, imagine like parent-teacher workshops dedicated specifically to digital literacy.
Right.
Or online forums where families can share tips and resources, even just funny stories about, trying to teach their grandma how to spot a phishing scam, things like that.
I love that. It's like we're creating this culture of shared responsibility, right? Like we're all in this together, figuring it out as we go.
Exactly. And I think that's the beauty of it, the conversation around digital citizenship. It's always evolving. So stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, keep those lines of communication open with your kids, with other parents, with your communities.
Yes.
That's how we empower the next generation to really thrive in this digital world.
So well said. To all our listeners out there, go be the digital heroes your kids need. And remember, you don't have to have all the answers, but you're not alone on this journey.